Salutations, nerds. I hope the beginning of Leftover Week finds you well. I'm not sure how the meals went, but hopefully no familiar ties were broken. I heard an amusing little anecdote regarding a person whose adult children chose against attending their family's dinner this year due to the father's support of Donald Trump and MAGA. This was the father of two daughters, who apparently couldn't wrap his head around why they were upset with his support of a convicted felon who worked diligently to overturn their rights as women and promises to continue doing so. Not to mention the adjudication and assault conviction with regards to E. Jean Carroll. If you're not aware, he was found liable for having forced himself upon that woman and then went on to publicly malign her. Now, this man's response to this was both measured and reflective. I'm kidding. He got onto social media to call them out and claim liberalism is a mental illness. This is a shining example of that ad hominem I spoke about in the Thanksgiving video. Instead of reaching out and trying to come to an understanding with the two people who should matter the most in his world, he called them out publicly and implied that their political beliefs make them mentally incompetent. And I cannot understand why or how they're not interested. I sincerely need to speak to these types of people because this is a form of bridge burning that vexes me. I didn't want to do this, but I decided to cover it today. Donald Trump is not forever, but your relationship with your children should be. You're still selling out who should be the most important members of your life for red hats and racism. It doesn't make any sense. And this notion that liberalism is a mental health disorder, let me touch on that because it's one of the major components of being an FMF corpsman, and it was looking out for my Marines. Mental health is not something I consider akin to a pejorative. It would be like making fun of you because you came down with a terminal illness. Being an edgelord doesn't make you funny. It makes you a dick. So if you or anyone you know is suffering from mental illness, realize that the stigma surrounding treatment comes from this kind of abhorrent response. If you aren't a mental health expert, please refrain from providing your medical opinion on the matter. You could actually be doing a lot more harm than good. And to those of you who are silently suffering, your brain and your mind are just as much a part of your body as your limbs are. If you broke your arm, you wouldn't hesitate to get it treated at the ER. Emotional and mental health is exactly the same. I have personally gone to therapy and I actively work on the issues that came with the jobs that I've taken up in my youth every single day still. There is nothing weak or lame about caring for your mental health. I'm telling you that as someone who actively provided what I could to members of the scariest military force on earth. Even those warriors sought my time when they needed to vent. The other part I wanted to address was the fact that liberalism is somehow problematic. Now, I need to get something across real fast. I'm progressive, but I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. If you want to tag me with a moniker because you just can't get past wedge issues, just make sure you get it right. Interestingly enough, thanks to a lot of conservatives, they gleefully take advantage of liberal ideas while smashing them. Let me go over a list of things that every American needs to thank liberalism for. Wage increases, voting rights, the 40-hour work week, unions, workplace safety regulations, food regulations, the GI Bill, women's rights, civil rights, environmental justice, and public education. If your child is not being dropped into a chimney or working in a dangerous factory for pennies to the dollar, you can thank liberalism. Let us not also forget the swaths of anti-fascists who stormed the beaches of Normandy to liberate Europe from the threat of authoritarian tyranny. Then there's the programs like Social Security, pensions, disability rights. Look, nobody expects you to love liberals or progressives or sign up to be a Democrat, but every single human being currently alive in America benefits from liberal policies. To denigrate them is to deny yourself the liberties you currently take full advantage of. And just keep in mind, if you believe that you're insulting anyone by calling them a liberal or progressive, welcome to my channel. You clearly stand to learn more away from your current influences. They're doing you a great disservice, as you clearly have been convinced to vote against your better interests. It would behoove you to stop allowing them to manipulate your worldview. Now, to those of you who are on the other end of this situation and you find yourself angry at these people for keeping their distance from you or not attending the events they once used to, consider that it isn't so much to do with a fault of their own, and rather ask yourself what you can do to mend a clearly damaged relationship and how you can earn their trust back. This was a serious election for a lot of people. Folks who will lose their tío or abuelita to a medieval set of mass detention and deportation policies, or the LGBTQ members of your life with whom you gained the utmost respect and trust from, but then you turned your back on them when it comes to taking their liberties away. And I get it. You didn't act this way when Biden won because you knew damn well Biden wasn't about to directly affect your freedoms and what you hold dear. Your decision wasn't a sports team. It directly impacted the lives of millions. Not to mention, it's already begun to bruise strong geopolitical alliances as Canada and Mexico prepare for an unwarranted economic tantrum. So let me be as crystal clear as I can when I say that you may not even yet understand what it is that you've lost with a lot of people in your life. If it was worth the sacrifice, then so be it. Your priorities are noted. I suggest you don't waste their time and come right out and tell them how you really feel about them. They may be able to start getting beyond the disappointment that you could have been a better person. But if you find yourself asking what it is that you may actually be able to do, or what you've done to put yourself in this position, if you have enough control over your own ego, you should probably start sooner rather than later when it comes to mending those fences. Recognize how and why your support for MAGA wasn't just repulsive, but a slight against their actual livelihoods. Your choice threatens their happiness, it threatens their life, and it was a slap to the face. And it was deliberate. Your actions will now have reverberations for years on personal levels as well as political. And if you don't at least make an effort to solve these issues and try to work on your own empathy, then who knows how long you risk losing your own family or members thereof. Because when Trump is gone and you've got nothing but your hat and your delicate pride, it will dawn on you way too late in the game. You dedicated your life to a walking People magazine instead of the Constitution. As we said in the service, don't be that guy. Until next time, stay engaged and stay decent.